There are 5 skills that separate the men who thrive from the men who barely survive, and nobody teaches you these in school. Nobody sits you down and says, "Master these, and your life will fundamentally change." I'm about to give you that conversation. These aren't talents you're born with. They're skills you build, and every single one of them will make you more capable, more confident, and more valuable in every area of your life. Let's start with a skill nobody wants to develop but everyone needs: the ability to be alone. Most men are terrified of solitude. They fill every moment with noise, podcasts, music, Netflix, scrolling, people, anything to avoid sitting with themselves. And that fear is destroying them. Because here's the truth: if you can't be alone, you can't be complete. You'll always need external validation to feel okay. You'll make desperate decisions to avoid emptiness. You'll stay in toxic relationships because being with the wrong person feels better than being with yourself. I learned this the hard way. 3 years ago, I went through a breakup that shattered me. My first instinct was to immediately find someone else, fill the void. I downloaded dating apps. I hit up old contacts. I said yes to every social invitation. Then something shifted. I deleted everything. I spent a month almost completely alone. No dates, no parties, just me, my thoughts, and my discomfort. The first week was hell. I felt anxious, restless, like I was missing out on life. But I stayed with it. And slowly, something changed. I started enjoying my own company. I stopped needing constant stimulation. I became comfortable in silence. That month taught me more about myself than the previous 5 years combined. When you're alone, truly alone, you're forced to face yourself, your fears, your insecurities, your patterns. You can't distract yourself. You can't hide behind other people's energy. You have to deal with what's actually inside you. And that process, as uncomfortable as it is, makes you whole. Here's how you build this skill. Start small. Spend 1 hour a day completely alone. No phone, no screens, no distractions. Just you. Sit, walk, think, journal, whatever. But be with yourself, whatever. Do this consistently and you'll notice something powerful. You stop craving constant validation. You make better decisions because they're based on what you actually want, not what keeps you from feeling lonely. You become someone who adds to relationships instead of someone who needs them to survive. That's the foundation. But being comfortable alone isn't enough if you can't communicate what's in your head. That's why the second skill is critical: the ability to articulate your thoughts. Most men think they're good communicators because they can talk. They're not. Talking isn't communicating. Rambling isn't articulating. Most guys, when asked to explain something important, either word vomit or shut down completely. Watch what happens when a man is asked, "What do you want in life?" Most will say something vague like, "I don't know. Just to be happy and successful, I guess." That's not an answer. That's verbal static. But the men who succeed, they can articulate exactly what they want, why they want it, and how they're going to get it. They think clearly. So they speak clearly, and that clarity makes them magnetic. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I was pitching an idea to an investor. My first attempt was a disaster. I rambled. I used filler words. I jumped between points. I could see his eyes glaze over. He passed. I spent the next month obsessively clarifying my thoughts. I wrote out my pitch. I practiced saying it out loud. I cut every unnecessary word. Then I pitched again to someone else. This time, I spoke for 3 minutes. Clear, concise, confident. He funded me on the spot. Same idea, different execution. The difference was articulation. Here's how you build this skill. Write. Every day. Write your thoughts, your goals, your arguments, your ideas. Writing forces you to organize chaos into structure. You can't hide behind vague language on paper. You have to commit to specifics. Then, practice speaking. Record yourself explaining something you care about. Watch it back. Notice the filler words, the rambling, the lack of structure. Then do it again and again, until you can speak with the same clarity you write. When you can articulate what's in your head, people listen. They take you seriously. They trust your leadership. You become someone whose words carry weight. But clear thinking and communication mean nothing if you don't have the third skill, managing your money. Most men are financial children. They make money and immediately spend it. They have no budget, no savings, no plan. They live paycheck to paycheck, then wonder why they feel trapped. Let me hit you with a brutal stat. 78 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That means 78 of people have zero financial freedom. They can't quit a job they hate. They can't handle an emergency. They can't invest in opportunities. They're slaves to their next paycheck. Don't be that guy. I'm not talking about becoming rich. I'm talking about having control. And control starts with 3 simple things. 1, know where your money goes. Track every dollar for 1 month. Every coffee, every subscription, every impulse purchase. You'll be shocked at how much you waste on things you don't even enjoy. 2, live below your means. If you make $4,000 a month, live on $3,000. Save or invest the rest. This isn't about deprivation. It's about building a buffer between you and desperation. 3, make your money work for you. Savings accounts are trash. Inflation eats your money faster than it grows. Learn basic investing. Index funds. Real estate. Something that compounds. Even small amounts invested consistently become massive over time. I started doing this at 24. I was making $40,000 a year, which isn't much. But I lived on $30,000. I invested the difference. 7 years later, those investments gave me the freedom to walk away from a job I hated and start my own business. That's what financial control gives you. Options, and options are freedom. But here's what most guys miss. Managing money isn't just about numbers. It's about psychology. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the life you want. If you say you want freedom, but you're spending $400 a month on things that don't move you toward freedom, you're lying to yourself. Your money shows what you actually value, not what you claim to value. So track it, control it, make it work for you. Because the men who master their money master their lives. Now, let's talk about a skill that sounds soft but is absolutely essential. Emotional regulation. Most men think emotions are weakness, so they suppress everything. They push down anger, sadness, fear, vulnerability. They act like robots. Then one day they explode, or they implode. Either way, they destroy themselves and the people around them. Here's the truth. Emotions aren't the problem. Unmanaged emotions are the problem. A man who can feel anger without acting from anger is powerful. A man who can feel fear without being paralyzed by fear is unstoppable. A man who can feel sadness without drowning in it is resilient. That's emotional regulation. Feeling everything, but responding consciously instead of reacting impulsively. I used to be terrible at this. Someone would criticize me and I'd immediately get defensive. Someone would disrespect me and I'd want to fight. I was ruled by my emotions, even though I thought I was suppressing them. Then I realized something. Suppression isn't control. Suppression is just delayed explosion. Real control is feeling the emotion, acknowledging it, then choosing your response. Here's how you build this skill. Start naming your emotions. When you feel something rising, stop and label it. I'm feeling angry right now. I'm feeling anxious. Just naming it creates distance between you and the emotion. Then, ask yourself, is this emotion giving me useful information? Or is it just an automatic reaction? Sometimes anger is telling you a boundary was crossed. That's useful. Sometimes anger is just your ego being bruised. That's not. Then, choose your response. You don't have to act on every feeling. You can feel angry and still speak calmly. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can feel sad and still function. That's emotional mastery. And it makes you unshakable. The men who master this skill don't lose their cool in arguments. They don't make impulsive decisions they regret later. They don't sabotage relationships because they can't handle discomfort. They stay steady when everyone else is losing their minds. That steadiness is magnetic. People trust you. They follow you. They want to be around you because you make them feel safe. But all of these skills mean nothing if you don't have the fifth and final skill, the ability to take action despite uncertainty. This is the skill that separates dreamers from doers. Most men have ideas. They have goals. They have plans. But they never execute because they're waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for more information, waiting for certainty. Certainty never comes. The men who succeed aren't smarter. They're not more talented. They're not luckier. They just act before they're ready. They make decisions with incomplete information. They start before they feel confident. Let me tell you about the moment this clicked for me. I wanted to start a business for 3 years. I researched. I planned. I made spreadsheets. I waited for the perfect idea. I waited until I had more money. I waited until I felt ready. I never felt ready. One day a friend asked me, "What's the worst that could happen if you start now?" I thought about it. I'd lose some money. I'd look stupid if it fails. I'd waste time, he said. You're already losing money by not earning more. You already look stupid by talking about it for 3 years without doing anything. And you're wasting time waiting. That hit me hard. So I started the next day, with no certainty, with incomplete knowledge, with fear in my chest. And you know what? I figured it out as I went. I made mistakes. I learned. I adjusted. And within a year, I was profitable. That's the power of action, not perfect action. Just action. Here's how you build this skill. Set a deadline for decisions. Give yourself 72 hours maximum to decide on something. Research. Then decide. After 72 hours, more thinking is just procrastination disguised as preparation. Then commit to the 10-minute rule. If you're avoiding something, commit to doing it for just 10 minutes. Usually, the hardest part is starting. Once you're in motion, you keep going. And finally, expect discomfort. Taking action when you're uncertain is supposed to feel scary. That's not a sign you should stop. That's a sign you're growing. The men who take action build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence creates results. Results create more opportunities. And suddenly, you're living a life that looked impossible 3 years ago. So here's the framework. Master being alone. Learn to articulate clearly. Control your money. Regulate your emotions. Take action despite uncertainty. These 5 skills will carry you through every challenge life throws at you. You'll be stronger, more capable, more confident, more free. Most men never develop even one of these. Master all 5, and you'll be unstoppable.